It's been a while since I've tested a fat tire all-terrain e-bike, and I decided to give another new company a try with this latest model. At first glance, it seems to be a fairly standard fat tire e-bike, but there are some differences here that might interest you, and it is reasonably priced for the specifications and the performance. Let's take a closer look at this new e-bike. Hello everybody, this is Matthew Miller, otherwise known as Palm Solo, and thanks for visiting the Mobile with Matt YouTube channel. I appreciate your views, support, questions, and inquiries. Velowave sent along the Ranger 2.0, and as you can see in this unboxing section coming up, it is very securely packaged, although not really in an environmentally friendly way. The Velowave Ranger 2 arrived in a fairly standard, large, big box that was securely fastened with straps. Usually I can take a box of a new bike and pull it out the top, but this one was way too hard to do that, and so I had to remove the front panel of the box to see what was going on. Turns out, looks like foam was injected around the bike to keep it securely in place for the shipping. So that foam was not able to be lifted easily out, so you may have to cut the side panel, and then carefully remove the bike through various means, making sure to clip all of those zip ties that are on there and remove any other fasteners. Take great care when using the bike not to cut through the bike or any of the tire or fabric or anything else. There is some shrink wrap around some of the frame pieces to keep it protected, and it arrives scratch-free. Now there's also a 16-page manual included with the bike, along with all of the tools that you're going to need to put the bike together. Lay those tools out, look through the directions, and unlike me, don't skip the first step, which is to apply the handlebars first. I jumped right to step 2, installing the front wheel, and I missed that first step of installing the handlebars. The one thing I didn't find was a tool to be able to remove the brace from the front forks. So I had to go get another tool of my own and remove that front fork. It's important to have something like cardboard or something down below your bike when you're putting this together so that you don't scratch up the bike or any of the materials. Remove that front brace, and then you'll be able to put the front wheel on board. Make sure to line up the brakes and remove the brake block that's on the bike itself. It's nice that there's a single pin that goes through the front axle, and being able to screw that front axle and remove it very easily with a quick release mechanism. Once you get that front wheel, it's also nice because now you have a kickstand. The next step is make sure to install that front fender. It's pretty easy. There's a couple of braces on the front forks and one on the top of that fork where you can also attach the front light. Just make sure you do it in the right order so you get that light out front and secure it in place. Their included Allen wrench tool is a bit awkward for spinning around some of those nuts and screws, so you can use the tool that they included or consider using your own Allen wrench as well. All of the hardware is attached to the bike and all the tools are provided, but you may want to use some of your own tools for a more optimal experience. Once you connect that light and get it in the right position, you're going to have to remember to attach the light plug as well in order to have that light function when you power up the bike. Next step is putting on the pedals. In the past, I've stripped some pedals because I didn't put them on in a timely and patient manner. Make sure you do that because it's a real pain to have to buy new cranks just to fix a pedal air. Then of course the handlebars. There's 4 nuts in the front of the handlebar. So you got to remove those bolts, and then you can position the handlebars where you like them. One thing to remember with those nuts and following the directions is to not just do like clockwise, but to do diagonal attachment of those nuts to put the handlebars on securely. And I like to put them on there and get them in place a little bit just to get the initial placement of the handlebars where I want them. But then it's nice to whip around the side of the bike, get into position as if I was riding the bike, and get the right angle that you're going to need when you're actually riding it. Now that I've got the bike unboxed, let's start off with some key specifications. Typical fashion, it's built with that 6061 aluminum frame. The bike weighs in at 73 pounds, so it isn't the lightest bike available, but it's fairly typical for a fat tire e-bike. The bike has a 300-pound capacity with the battery itself weighing in nearly 9 pounds. In typical fashion, it has that 750-watt rear hub motor with 1,000 watts of peak power and 80 Newton meters of torque. It's 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery with LG cells. It has 7-speed Shimano gears with the RevoShift twist shifter over on the right side. On the left side, we find a thumb throttle. It has nylon lock-on ergonomic hand grips, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. It has 60mm front fork suspension, so not a lot of suspension there out of those front forks, and it's pretty tight as well. There are 26-inch by 4-inch Kenda fat tires, a very comfortable saddle on the back, 180mm hydraulic disc brakes, and it supports speeds up to 28 miles per hour with pedaling and the pedal assist, and 20 miles per hour on the throttle. There's an advertised range of 30 miles with the throttle and up to 90 miles with pedal assist, and we'll talk about that in my experiences. There's a bright front 10-watt 30 lux LED light, a small color LCD on the left side. Fenders and rear rack are included out of the box. The left-hand display is a small basic color display with fairly low resolution. It does show the speed, the battery level, pedal assist level, and distance traveled, but not much else. There's a plus, a minus, and a power button on the left-hand side of that. A single press of the power button shows trip distance, odometer, and trip time for a few seconds, and then it goes back to the default display. Press and hold that plus button to toggle on that front headlight, and then a simple press of the plus or the minus will go up and down through the different pedal assist levels. As you know, I live on the top of the hill, and getting up that 13 to 15% incline is quite an effort. With that 80 Newton meters of torque and the big battery and the big bike, I thought that throttle only mode would get me up the hill. I kept it in throttle mode, but it started to drop down 7 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour, and kept on dropping. So then I switched over to pedal assist mode of level 5 and kept it in that low gear, and I was easy to get up there at 9 to 12 miles per hour, but throttle only wasn't quite enough to get me up that hill. Speaking of the throttle does not function if you have the pedal assist level set to 0. In pedal assist level 1 or higher, you get full throttle up to 20 miles per hour. So changing the pedal assist level with the throttle will not impact the top speed of the throttle. You simply press it down in level 1 or level 5, you'll get up to 20 miles per hour on a flat condition. If you're up a hill, of course, that'll be slower. Velowave advertises a 30 mile per hour range with throttle only. And for once in my testing, I'm actually seeing that or maybe even 35 miles of range with that throttle only at my 235 pound weight in fairly flat conditions. So it exceeded what was even advertised, and that's a good thing. Most of the time on e-bikes, I ride in pedal assist mode. I didn't find too much assistance with level 1. This is a very heavy bike, and I'm pretty heavy too. I spent most of my time in levels 2 and 3, which was perfect. Level 5 provides a very high level of assistance, and that was able to get me up to 28 miles per hour in 7th gear. So if you're going to put it up into level 5, be careful and hold on. Velowave advertises up to 90 miles with a low level of pedal assist. With my testing in levels 2 and 3 most of the time, my experience shows about 70 miles of range, so Velowave is very accurate on their long range, and if you're going to use pedal assist, this bike can take you for a long time. So let's talk a little bit about the pedal assist level, since that's what I spend most of my time in. And using about the same level of average effort, not pushing too hard and not too light, here's what I experienced. In level 5, 28 miles per hour was easy. With level 4, I was usually in the 23 to 24 mile per hour top range. In level 3, I saw that in the 17 to 19 miles per hour. Level 2 was 12 to 13 miles per hour, and level 1 was about 9 to 10 miles per hour with very little effort on my part. Now, sometimes the bike will die, but as you just heard, that's going to be a long time on this Velowave Ranger. So I did try it, assuming the battery was dead and with no assist at all. This is a 73-pound bike. It is pretty heavy, but I did try doing it, and I put it down to the lowest gear, gave it a try, and I was able to ride a mile or so before I got a little bit too tired with these big tires and the big weight. One thing I did notice that when I shifted those lower gears, this bike was shifting randomly between all the gears, well, the lower gears. And so some adjustment of the derailleur was needed to kind of tighten things up and line it up a little bit. So, you know, these bikes come from China and they travel quite a ways, but just be aware you may have to adjust the derailleur. So in your test run when you first get it, I suggest rotating that down to the lowest gears and seeing if it skips around a lot, and then make those adjustments. Looking back at some of the fun things and the pros of this bike, it impressed me with the looks, the build quality, and the performance. You never know what you're going to get with a new bike brand, and I've been impressed with the Velowave Ranger. The last big fat tire e-bike I tested was Electric X-Peak. and I have to say, I prefer riding the Velowave Ranger 2.0 with the longer frame, the fenders that don't hit my feet when I turn it, and the rear rack. I like the look of the X-Peak and some of those features, but the longer body on this bike makes it a much more stable platform for riding and much more enjoyable. Not every bike is perfect, and I understand that fat tire e-bikes usually aren't used for commuter bikes, but I would like all bikes to have a rear brake light, and at least a light that lights up when the headlight is on. This one has a reflector mounted on the back, but there's no power to that, so it's just a reflector. I like to let people around me know what I'm doing on that bike, if I'm braking, if I'm turning, things like that. The display is also pretty basic, but it does provide you with the essentials and not much more. And while I really do like these ergonomic hand grips, they're about an inch too short, so the outside of my palm rests on the metal part, and it's not that comfortable when I'm on extended rides. The Velowave Ranger 2.0 is available for $14.99 in that silver color that I mentioned. And there are some accessories, although there was none included for my testing, but they do have a waterproof storage bag. I did see a lock. There's also a front basket, trunk bag, and many more items that you can purchase for this bike. I really had no expectations for the Velowave Ranger 2.0, but after testing it for a couple of weeks, I'm impressed by its performance. The battery and pedal assist mode provided longer range than I expected, and even in throttle mode, it went much longer than even advertised. And with those fat tires and that front shocks, and that comfortable seat, the ride was comfortable for long distances. It didn't have as much power to get up my steep hill as I expected, but for moving around forest roads, gravel, mountain roads, and trails, it's a solid option to consider. Thank you everybody for watching. Please subscribe and share, interact with me here, and stay tuned for more coverage of e-bikes, wearables, and other mobile technology. And may the mobile force be with you.